This is kind of, it feels like Venezuela to me or something. This is nuts. We're so close to the election. We're months away. Let's talk policy. Give me some meat on the bone. This stuff's getting too crazy.
Oh, bless your heart, Mr. Wonderful. You want to know the policy in politics. What in Washington, D.C. that would be.
Don't you just love when intellectually corrupted media ask a question they believe is friendly to the cause and they just absolutely get crushed?
I have to ask you, I mean, look, some people look at all this and they say, is this what happens in business, what Trump has said he's done or is accused of being done? You've been doing real estate for decades. Does this case strike you as odd?
Well, let's leave out Trump for a minute and let's leave out politics and just talk about what happens in real estate development anywhere. So if you're a developer and you've got a building on a block anywhere in America and it's worth, let's say, $500 million and you want to build a building right beside it, you go to the bank and say, this building is worth $500 million. I'd like to borrow a construction finance loan against this asset, and I want you to tell me it's worth $500 million too. And the bank negotiates with you and says, well, no, we think it's worth $400 million, and you fight it out. You're always trying to show your assets in the brightest light with the sunshine you can possibly determine for them. You want them to be worth the very most, because you're only going to get a 40 or 50% loan to value, as it's called. Then you borrow that money. In the case of a $500 million asset, maybe you get $250 million, and you build a new building with a construction finance loan. And so that's what this case is all about. And by the way, forget about Trump. Every single real estate developer everywhere on earth does this. They always talk about their asset being worth a lot, and the bank says no. And that's just the way it is. So in this case, when I'm trying to figure out, and I'm not pro or con, or I don't care about the politics, who lost money? Nobody. The bank got paid back the construction finance loan, and a new building was built. And if you're going to sue this case and win, you got to sue every real estate developer everywhere. This is all they do. This is what they do all day long, every day. So I don't think this thing will ever survive appeal, regardless of what the fine is. This doesn't even make sense. Now, look, I know Trump's got a lot of problems in other indictments and everything else, but this, if you're a real estate developer, you're watching this, you're saying, what is this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, but don't forget, Orange Man bad, Orange Man bad. Got to stay on track, and Orange Man is bad. I will give CNN credit. You know, if this was not a live interview, if this actually got edited and then distributed and sent out to all the different places, good for them for showing it. You know, they actually took a pretty big risk because none of their viewers have ever probably heard anything even close to this. But I think here's where they go a little bit sideways. You know, they asked the guy a great question. He gives a really, really great, really apolitical, fact-based answer. And now is not the time to put on your propaganda cap.
Well, you know, the thing is, most people who are in this world are not real estate developers, and they necessarily don't know that this is the way maybe things are done, even if it might be violative of the law. But the question about who loses money, and I've heard this argument, and he's raised this argument, and others have raised this argument, that who's the real victim here? How about the fact that you can get a tax benefit for having overvalued or having a different value that's actually normal? Doesn't that deprive the state of revenue? Is that enough, do you think?
All right, so something I think is really important here. O'Leary's really not going to touch on this, but Trump is not charged or even alleged to have committed tax fraud. You know, they're focusing on his relationships with the banks. You know, the state does not rely, and no state relies on what the bank says or what the property owner says to determine your property's value. The state does that on their own. So her whole talk about screwing New York out of taxes, that's just misdirection. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
I know you're laughing, but this is rich people problems are very different than my world. Go ahead.
I mean, I get it. I totally get it. And you're making a valid point. But it's humorous in the sense that you have to sue every single real estate developer here in Miami, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, in Detroit, in Dallas. This is what they do every day. This is what the real estate game is all about. It's getting construction financing against stabilized assets. When a building is fully leased out and everybody's renting it and you've got offices or you've got apartments in it, it's called a stable asset. And you value it and you go to the bank and say, this asset is worth 500 million and I want to borrow 250 million against it. And the bank always negotiates with you. Everybody understands how this works. And that's why I think it's going to be very, very hard to make this stick in reality later. This is not, of all the things that Trump's being accused of and being litigated for and indicted for, this is not his problem. This is not his problem. He's got much worse problems than this. This is, for real estate developers, this is a joke.
It's fascinating to me to hear this perspective because you don't often hear it from that particular angle. And of course, you wonder, if everyone's doing it and one would have to sue everybody, does that mean that they got to have a bigger prosecutor's office, or that the laws have to change to make it? I mean, you cannot do, like, what is the solution here? You get punished for it, or you shouldn't do it, or you know what? It should be okay.
The first question, is everybody doing it in real estate? Yes, everybody's doing it. Not only domestically, all around the world. This is how it works, okay? Now, you don't want to be Donald Trump and get embroiled in what looks like, I mean, it looks to me in this presidential race, and I'm not in favor of this, that the courts are being used to try and sway voters on both sides of the equation. I don't understand why we're trying to, impeach Biden. What a waste of time. And his son and all this stuff and all of this litigation on Trump hasn't moved the needle for either of these candidates. People don't care about this noise anymore, and it's obvious when you look at these poll results. And so why keep doing it? I mean, let the voters vote and decide on the merits of both. I'd rather hear policy. I'd rather not hear about Trump's real estate woes in New York. I'd like to hear his tax plan. I want to hear about security at the border. I'd like to hear foreign policy from both of these candidates so I can make a decision as a voter on which of these people should be president. And the rest of this stuff is just horrific noise. When in America do we sue sitting presidents and former presidents? We've never done this before. This is really bad for the American brand. This is it feels like Venezuela to me or something. This is nuts. We're so close to the election. We're months away. Let's talk policy. Give me some meat on the bone. This stuff's getting too crazy.
Oh, bless your heart, Mr. Wonderful. You want to know the policy in politics. What a Washington, D.C. that would be. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Nice to see you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate hearing your perspective because, I lean into it. Mr. Wonderful, thank you so much.
Bless his heart. Bless his heart. Is this freaking lady insane? The guy just called out the entire system, a system that she is a propagandist for, a very well paid propagandist. He laid out what every single reasonable person from both sides is thinking. We do not care anymore what this person or that person may or may not have done. We care about what they plan to do for us. It is that simple. It does not have to be overcomplicated. We don't care what anyone says about each other. We don't care what you say about them. We care about what they say that they can do for us and what they will do for us. And honestly, O'Leary is absolutely right. Even if a manipulation of the law somehow gives these people the power to weaponize courts against political rivals, and this is both sides, it doesn't make it the right thing to do. He is 100% right. That is the third world. And that is her response. Oh, bless your heart. Bless your heart. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, that would be nice. And the second that you people start actually talking about policy and start talking about things that actually matter to real people, instead of all this ancillary clickbait, noise, like O'Leary put it, that is the moment that it all changes. Everything changes when they start asking real, meaningful questions that actually matter. I mean, do these people really not understand that the part that they play in all this? Because they play a major, major part. But anyway, that's just my take, guys. Let me know yours in the comments, and please be a part of this channel's growth. Like, comment, subscribe, most importantly, share, guys. It really, really does mean a lot to the channel and to our message, your support. So I really, really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, guys, keep the faith.